Hey there, 8th graders. Welcome back. Get ready, because today's explainer is going to completely shift how you look at the pages of a book. I mean it. We're not just learning how to, read words on a page today. We're learning how to become active, highly engaged readers who can literally predict outcomes before they even happen. Think about it. We're taking the skills of a master detective, someone who examines every tiny detail to uncover the truth, and we're applying those exact same cognitive skills directly to the text. It's a really incredible mental tool. And mastering it, well, it won't just help you ace a test. It's going to entirely transform your everyday reading experience from something totally passive into an exciting interactive investigation.
To kick things off and really anchor our lesson today, I want you to consider this powerful scripture. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. That's from Proverbs 22:3. Just think about what that really means for a second. The word prudent implies this deep sense of caution, wisdom, and really the ability to look ahead. Reading isn't just some school task you check off your to-do list so you can go play video games, right? It's actually a lifelong exercise in prudence and foresight. Because just like the prudent person anticipates what's coming on the horizon to make wise choices and avoid unnecessary trouble, a really strong reader anticipates what's coming on the next page to fully grasp the story. It's the exact same mental muscle. We're just using it in different ways.
Okay, let's dive into this and lay out our roadmap for the investigation today. First, the reading detective. Second, finding clues before reading. Third, plot twists and adjustments. Fourth, testing your detective skills. And finally, number 5, wisdom, morality, and peace.
All right, starting right off with Section 1, the reading detective, why predictions matter.
So like we said, a truly good reader is exactly like a master detective walking onto a crime scene. You aren't just there to casually look around. You're there to actively gather clues, piece things together, and anticipate the next move. Let's kind of contrast the passive reader with the detective reader for a minute. The passive reader just lets the words wash over them. And hey, we've all experienced this, right? You stare at a page, your eyes track across the sentences, you flip the page, and then suddenly you realize you have absolutely no idea what you just read. Your brain simply wasn't engaged. But on the flip side, the detective reader is constantly interacting, predicting, and adjusting. When you predict, you're thinking ahead. And honestly, this whole concept of active engagement applies everywhere in life. Whether you're planning a weekend trip, watching a super complex sports game, or starting a massive project, you naturally make predictions about what's going to happen, and then you adjust your actions based on new info. Applying that same active engagement to your reading is exactly what keeps your brain fully locked in.
Moving right along to Section 2, finding clues before reading, starting the investigation.
So, how do we actually pull this off? Well, it's a simple 3-step process. And, spoiler alert, the investigation actually starts before you even read the very first sentence. Step 1, start making predictions before you read by deeply examining the title, the pictures, the chapter headings, or any of that introductory text. You should actively be having this internal monologue going, okay, based on the specific title, I expect the text to focus on this. This totally primes your brain to look for specific information. Step 2, as you read, gather your clues to actively support or challenge those initial thoughts. You're basically building a case. And step 3, adjust those predictions dynamically as the story unfolds. You weren't locked into your first guess at all. You're evolving right along with the narrative.
Now, what's really interesting here is the specific type of evidence you need to be tracking. You're not just looking at random words, you're hunting for highly specific signals. You look for vivid descriptions that set, say, a dark or cheerful mood. You watch out for foreshadowing subtly dropped by the author, like, lingering way too long on a locked door. You also look for distinct patterns in how a character behaves. Like if a character always lies when they're nervous in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, your newly trained detective brain should confidently predict they're going to lie when the stakes get impossibly high in Chapter 3. You also look for recurring themes that tie the whole message together. You use these specific, undeniable clues to refine your foresight and stay 2 steps ahead of the plot.
Which brings us to Section 3, plot twists and adjustments, flexibility in reading.
But wait, what happens when the author throws a complete curveball? This brings us to kind of the climax of our whole cognitive strategy today. Adjusting predictions means revising your initial thoughts when new details appear. And I really want to emphasize this because it's a huge mental hurdle for a lot of people. Be ready to change your prediction if the text takes a new turn. Changing your mind does not mean your first idea was a failure or that you were somehow wrong. Actually, it's the exact opposite. Changing your prediction means your thinking is incredibly flexible. It's literally the ultimate proof that you are paying deep, continuous attention and staying actively engaged with the story rather than just stubbornly clinging to your very first guess.
And this brilliantly illustrates how it works. Let's do a rapid-fire round of 3 examples to show how that flexibility plays out in real time. First scenario, you pick up a book and see a title called The Day the Lights Went Out. Solution? You use that direct clue right off the bat to predict a massive citywide blackout and the chaos that follows. Easy, right? Second scenario, you confidently predict a main character will win a championship race, but midway through the chapter you learn they've suffered a severe, totally unexpected injury. Solution? You immediately adjust your prediction to account for how that injury entirely changes the outcome. Maybe they become a coach, or maybe they have to overcome a totally new physical hurdle. Third scenario, the narrator subtly mentions dark, ominous storm clouds gathering in the distance during a peaceful picnic scene. Solution? Use that environmental foreshadowing to predict a dangerous storm is going to disrupt everything very soon. See? It's a constant, dynamic, and thrilling loop of reading, predicting, and adjusting.
All right, heading into Section 4, testing your detective skills, the field test. So, we've talked through all the theory, but now it's time to take these cognitive tools out into the real world. Here are your core assignments. I really want you to deeply consider why making these predictions genuinely helps keep you engaged while reading. You'll need to identify specific clues you can use before a text even begins. You'll explain exactly how you know, in your gut, that it's time to adjust a prediction. And crucially, I want you to articulate in your own words the profound difference between a wrong prediction and an adjusted one. By working through these questions, you're going to ensure you deeply understand the difference between passive reading and active, highly flexible engagement.
Actually, before we move on, let's flex those skills right now. Picture this, a story titled The Last Train Home. I want you to just pause for a second and really think about it. Mentally answer this for me. What do you predict this story is about? Who exactly is on that train? Are they running to something or running away from something? And probably most importantly, why is it the last one? Just by asking those critical questions, your brain is already leaning forward, highly eager to read the first page and find out if your initial case holds up. That right there is the undeniable power of the detective reader in full action.
Okay, final stretch. Section 5, Wisdom, Morality, and Peace, the ultimate goal. So we're taking a step back from just the tactical reading skills for a second to look at the overarching philosophy here. Let this principle really sink in. The HeroesmartAcademy Godly Learners series intertwines biblical morality with education for a very specific, very vital reason. Education without morality will ultimately hurt. Being incredibly book smart, getting straight A's, being highly educated, it means absolutely nothing if we just continue to make poor, destructive choices that hurt ourselves and the people around us. The exact same foresight you use to predict the outcome of a fictional story based on character clues, that is the exact same cognitive muscle you need to predict the outcomes of your own real-world decisions. When you recognize the behavioral patterns of the people you hang out with, or when you foresee the consequences of words you might post online, you are using the absolute ultimate form of active, real-world foresight.
And that ties perfectly into this foundational promise from Romans 8, 6-7. It promises genuine peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. I want to slow down here for just a second, because this is the ultimate long-term reward we're aiming for. What does true peace of mind actually feel like? Well, it feels like the absence of constant anxiety about the future, because you know you're making thoughtful, prudent decisions. As you engage with our content, as you learn to carefully look ahead, gather real-world clues, and humbly adjust your path when necessary, you aren't just becoming a better reader. You are actively training your mind to align with deep spiritual wisdom. And the direct, beautiful result of that mental alignment is a profound, lasting peace in your everyday life.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative thought to take with you today. If you can train yourself to be a brilliant detective who successfully predicts the outcome of a fictional story, how will you use that exact same godly wisdom and foresight to predict the outcomes of your own life choices? Think about the very real clues popping up in your own life right now. Actively anticipate where your daily choices are leading you, and never ever be afraid to adjust your path when you receive new wisdom. Keep practicing those incredible detective skills, 8th graders, and I'll see you in our next explainer.